Good morning and happy Tuesday. Thank you for joining me. It is the Tuesday morning brew. Did you bring your coffee? Did you? I have Tears of My Reader in this cup. It's delicious. I think they're actually, I have no idea what I'm drinking. Let's be honest. I had some beans that I roasted a while ago. I don't know. I'm not sure what's left. They're almost gone. So I'll be roasting some pretty soon, but they taste good, so that's all that matters. What has been going on with Path of the Pale Rider? Well, let's see. Books are on order. I talked to the printer today, and they should be shipping this week. So either by the end of this week, we will have issue 8 books in hand. But this past weekend, I went and saw my buddy Vaughn Fox, if you're familiar with Vaughn. He is a writer and comic creator, but he also makes stickers. And so guess what I got? I got our early bird stickers ready to go. So this campaign, I actually did 2 stickers. And so we have Jude Sinclair, and then, of course, our new character, which you'll have to read to find out who this is. So good morning, Michael. How are you? So I saw Vaughn. I also got, for those that don't know Vaughn, he does Hourglass Comics, and he writes a few different series. One is Murder Face, which I got to use the bat saw on one of the previous Slice and Dices. And this one is Zara and Jean. Zara is a demon. She's a blue demon. And Jean is like typical guy that lives in his mom's basement kind of deal. He's got the and the dad bod and the fanny pack. He's hilarious. So if you're not familiar with Vaughn Fox writing, he has such a dry sense of humor. He makes me laugh all the time. But look at this gorgeous spot foil cover, which of course I got him to sign. So Zara and Jean, he has his physical copy, so you should definitely check it out. And he got me all of the goodies with it. I got so many because he does stickers, right? So I mean, like I even got a fanny pack sticker, which I think is hilarious. Super funny. And Vaughn has the hookup for the, what is this, acrylic standee? Like, these are amazing. And I got to talk to him about these because I really feel like we need some Big James standees, right? Right? Anyway, good morning, Pops. So that's what's been going on there. Oh, I wanted to remind people, let me share this tab real quick. Issue 8, the trade paperback, the next trade paperback is coming, right? So this, there's a good chance I'm launching this. I'm aiming for July 3rd to launch this one. And now for people that know me with the exclusives, the trade paperback campaigns are a little bit different. We don't have quite as many tiers because I don't do variant covers. So all the exclusive stuff is a tier this time. So it won't be in the add-ons. All of the exclusives will be a tier. So you just got to make sure you get there early enough because, again, the same things, it's all limited. And I'll walk you guys through. And then we have, of course, this is the, pre-launch. I have a link here where you can read issue 1 for free if you haven't read any Path, if you're new. And I'm just showing up a few of the things that are exclusive that are coming. So again, here is the mini trades that I print, cut, sew together, bind, and I do all of that from scratch. We have Sad Pancake plushies. There's, I think, 5 of these up for grabs. We're going to be adding 2 of these animals. I haven't disclosed which 2 yet, so you can. We already have the sand pancakes, of course, these little doggies. But we're going to be adding 2 to our collection from this group. Of course, if you need hot sauce, I got to add the new flavors. And then my goal is to have 100 signups. Again, that's just our silly goal, just to make sure that I'm doing my job to put out the word that this is launching. And if we get to 100 pre-launch signups, I will send everybody one of these mini books. They're really cool. I won't be sending this one, though. That's been in my mouth. That one is mine. Right. But I'll be sending the next trade will be the one that's going out. So if you just click on this link here. It'll take you right to the pre-launch, and all this does is sign you up for an email. When I push the live button, it goes out, and you get to go in there and shop around and see what you like. On the issue 8, I have polls. This is new for Kickstarter, where you can put a poll in the update. So when I did the slice and dice poll, I put it here, which is kind of cool. So you can go vote on the slice and dice, which again is me dressing up in a onesie. And then on the Tuesday morning brew, I go murder a watermelon on the show. You get to name it, and you get to pick the weapon of destruction. So since we're in Las Vegas, we have some Las Vegas names that you can vote on. Right now, it looks like Elvis is in the lead. And weapon, I'm surprised. Cast iron pan is in the lead here. I'm kind of excited for that. I really want to destroy a watermelon with a cast iron pan. I think that would be hilarious. So this is going to be June 16th. Make sure you tune in. I'll leave the poll open all the way up into the week before, and I'll turn it off. So if you're a backer, you can go vote on this here. If you're in the Path of the Pale Rider Facebook group, there's a poll there as well. So you can go ahead and vote in there. So that's a couple things real quick. There's another campaign I want to give a shout out to, which is Jeff Muth's Simon Says. This is Hourglass Comics and Jeff Muth. It's a really creepy remastered graphic novel. And he's selling it for super cheap, man. $20 on, what is it up? How many pages? 96 pages for $20. Color, gorgeous. Like if you like horror and you like creepy, this is up your alley. So this one needs a little love. Let me drop the link in the comments. It has 12 days to go, but let's help this campaign along if we can. Get that out. Hey, it's Fishley. What's up, sir? Let me drop this link for everybody. Don't forget Levi and JD. Which campaign? Carrie, I missed it. I'm sorry. I've been swoop, you guys. Kids are off school, and I've been. Yesterday, I'm gonna be honest with you. Yesterday, I was fighting with the garbage pullout in my kitchen, where it just looks like a cabinet, but you pull it out, it's the garbage and the recycle, and like, you know how you like push in your trash down so you can fit more trash? Well, it just kind of like it just came right out. And so for the last 2 days, I've been trying to fix this thing, and I got to tell you, it's been winning. So it hasn't been fun. Galaxy Memorial. Oh, yeah. Okay, that's a great one. There you go. So we can check that out. This is number 2. Cool. So make sure you guys check out that campaign as well. It's on My Comic. Excellent. Thank you guys for that shout out. We always love supporting indie comics. Enough about me. Let's get started with the show. I have 2 guests today, 2 for the price of 1. I would love for you guys to welcome Rowen and Erica from Days Worth Living.
Good morning.
Hi. Good morning. How are you?
Good.
Good. How are you?
Excellent. So Carrie is the best. You are absolutely right, Pops. So where are you guys in the country? Just curious.
The Midwest, actually. Both of us born and raised in Wisconsin.
In Wisconsin?
Yes.
Everybody in Wisconsin. Good. I can check that box off now. I know you guys. I'm originally from Michigan, born and raised until I was an adult, and then got married and moved around for my husband's job. But I do not miss the snow. Are you guys closer to the lake, or are you on the west side?
We are right in the middle, pretty much.
Okay.
Right in the middle of everything.
So Pop says his mama's from Wisconsin. Do you guys get a ton of snow in the winter? Are you that part, or is it just the entire state that gets?
I think we get less than some areas up in the north, like Green Bay and near Superior, but still, like, we've seen some pretty nasty blizzards from time to time.
Yeah.
So it is not uncommon to get a foot.
Wisconsin, in my best Wisconsin. I don't have what's a Wisconsin accent, Fish? Wisconsin? How do you do it? Can you do it?
I think it's right between, like, It's exactly what everyone thinks of when they think of a Midwest accent, just toned down. So nasally, you really hang on a lot of those, on a lot of the vowels. Like they're very open. But it's not like Minnesota. You're not saying a boot and things like that.
You know, what's funny? One of the first places we moved to after Michigan was California. And so I have that Midwestern accent as well. And so I was working at a bank and I was helping someone and they were like, "You're not from here." And I was like, "No, I'm not." You know, like, else. But I was like, "But can you guess where?" And they're like, "You must be from Boston." And I was like, "Do I sound that bad?" Like,
they went wildly in the other direction.
I was like, "Have you ever been to Boston?" Hey, you got some people in the chat. That's awesome. Tip pops. I was born in Minnesota. Never said a boot. I make fun of those people. Oh, okay. So let's start the show. Since you guys, this is your first time on the show, we like to do what's your origin story. I love to hear like how you got into comics. Were you reading comics as kids? What were you reading? Like what you found influential? And then ultimately, what was it that made you pull the trigger and say, "I'm going to do this myself"?
I think I've got less of a exciting backstory as far as comics go, so I'm going to hand it over to the artist.
Erica talk. Erica, what got you into comics?
So actually, I didn't read a whole lot of comics when I was younger. I kind of wanted to get in them, but it always seemed like they were always checked out. But I've always been an artist, and for a long time I thought I'd go into like animation or something. But after I got serious about animation, I kind of went, I actually don't love it as much as I thought that I would.
Ooh.
I decided I didn't really like redrawing a bunch of things multiple times.
Okay.
And then
traditional animation, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, comics are kind of similar to that, but I guess different enough that I was able to go with them. I've always kind of liked zombies, at least. So it kind of branched from there. I got super into watching The Walking Dead. And I mean, I still haven't quite finished it yet. I think we stopped at like season 8.
Yeah.
But
for reason.
Everybody jumped ship on that when the Whisperers had to like, it was that season where it was like the season mid break. You know when they used to do that? It was like Carol staring down Alpha, and everybody just left.
Yeah, I would say like, as far as The Walking Dead goes, we stopped when Daryl started becoming the star more than Rick. Like, I've always been someone that thought that he should have been killed off, because it became, instead of The Walking Dead telling a story, it became, let's focus on the action of these characters. And they focused on Carol and Daryl, who Carol I'm fine with, but Daryl really started to overshine Rick as a protagonist. And I think he should have been killed off in the Savior War.
Rowen, that is a hot take.
I got a couple.
Because I don't know how many times I've heard from the Walking Dead fandom, died riot, right? Yeah. But I see your point. Like, they really did do that, and I feel like, of course, they were doing that because Rick was getting phased out of the show. You know what I mean? They had plans for him to be in a spinoff, and then Daryl to have his own spinoff, and so they wanted people to, you know, focus. I get what you're saying. But again, I think that's more about like marketing and TV and how they plan serial TV shows than anything.
Studio execs and artists think differently.
Yeah, storytellers, right? And that's why I think, and this is my own personal hot take, why indie comics is the best place for storytelling.
Yeah, I gotta say, like, a hard agree on that. I've seen some just wild stories put together by, like, I'm 16 years old and this is my first comic, and I'm like, you're blowing everyone away. Yeah. Like, I don't know how you pulled it off.
Right, but you get like the beginning and middle and end, so you get like the whole story as it was intended by the creator, instead of all those executives coming in and being like, "Oh, we got another season, so you got to throw some fluff in there."
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And so I feel like, yeah, indie's the place to be. Fish says you got to be a little broken to love dry cut. He's an artist as well. America. So he feels your pain. Animation is a whole different kind of broken. He has dabbled in animation as well, so he gets it. He gets the pain. Okay, so you are into zombies. You're an artist, and then what was it after Walking Dead? Was it the disappointment you felt? What was it that you were like, I can do this better?
You know, that might have partially been it, honestly. And it's not. I try not to take the stance of I can do this better, but sometimes that comes to mind in certain cases.
Yeah.
But I've always sort of just loved telling stories as well. And that just kind of went along with I love doing the art, and I really have this appreciation for zombies. I think they can be really frightening, or they can be kind of goofy in some aspects, and there's room to toy around with that.
Yeah, I agree. And as someone, have you guys ever like done the deep dive into like zombie history?
Yes.
I love that. Oh, it's like starts out as voodoo and slow zombies, you know. Then like George Romero comes along and we have undead, slow moving but dangerous in groups. Then it becomes like fast moving zombies, and then it becomes infection, right?
Yeah, that infected craze.
What? Say again, Rowen?
That infected craze of like the 2000s, where 28 Days Later and Resident Evil started kind of a new genre in the genre.
Yes. And it's just, I love how it's like, it's being reinvented. Now, I have this theory, and I wonder if you guys are with me on this. Once the bad guys become the love interest, the genre is dead. How do you feel about that?
I think there are caveats where it comes down to storytelling, where it can be told in an interesting way, but you really have to avoid the fascination with the subplot being, well, he was a bad guy and now he's the love interest. It could be done well as long as that's not the point. Focus on how those characters ended up together and maybe how they're overcoming.
Let me rephrase. If zombies become the love interest, has the genre died?
I gotcha.
Because I see this all the time, right? Where it's like any kind of horror genre, we have zombies, we have werewolves, we have vampires, right? Where it's scary, 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 and then all of a sudden we have Twilight. And I'm like, I'm not okay with it.
I liked Warm Bodies.
I am so against Warm Bodies because of this, where I feel like, okay, once we get to Warm Bodies and we're trying to make a love interest between zombies, and like we need to reboot, right? We need to do better, because it started out as scary and they eat you. Like you keep it. I don't know.
I suppose there is a level of, with werewolves and vampires, you can at least understand because the human element's still there.
Yeah.
But when you're a corpse that's falling apart, there is a level of like, where is the attraction?
Right. You smell bad. You're trying to eat people. I don't know. I don't buy it. So that's why I think like creators like you guys and myself, it's important for us to keep pushing the genre. You know what I mean? And
rather than filling the status quo.
Yeah, because once we had Warm Bodies, it was like, oop, we need to do better. And okay, before we go too much further, I have to ask you guys, are you in camp, how do I say this? World War Z movie or World War Z book?
I don't think you've seen either. Or you watched the movie.
I've seen the movie. I haven't read the book, but I loved some of the aspects of the movie, but overall I was a little bit like, I feel like there's
product placement for Pepsi.
It 100% was, wasn't it?
I feel like there was something missing from the movie.
You were disappointed?
Yeah. It had some cool concepts in the movie that didn't feel like they were fully fleshed out. And I've sort of heard that the book does better in that. So
the book
I'll gives his opinion before I give mine.
Yeah, the book is 100% better. Max Brooks is an interesting author in the way that he wrote it almost like an anthology series where you're hearing interviews and such. The scope was never, look at these giant cool battles with zombies. It was like, have you seen the horror of a war against the living dead, pretty much? And the book is horrifying in ways the movie isn't.
Agreed. Like the whole feral children aspect, where they had them locked in soundproof rooms because they could emulate the sound of the undead so closely that it would scare people, right? Stuff like that, where it's just like it took it to another level in the book. And Erica, you should 100% read that book.
Yeah.
It is so good. And I really feel like they missed an opportunity. Well, the producers are happy. It made a ton of money, right? And for people that haven't read the book, it was okay. Like, people enjoyed it. But for people, I guess, Rowen and I, who have read the book and seen the movie, it was like they could have done it so much different. It would have been so much better as like a Netflix series. Where there was like the reporter, like he could start out every episode sitting at a table, turning on his recorder, like Interview with the Vampire style, and being like, all right, let's talk about it. And then you have the episode is an extended flashback where you get to see the action of that specific story that they're telling. Like the guy that was in the Scottish castle with the claymore, and the lady that was up in the tree houses with the ladders, there was so much opportunity there, and I feel like they whiffed it. So I have to nerd out with my fellow zombie, genre fans.
Please do.
I talk like this, and my husband just like glosses over. Yes, dear. All right, so we're making comics at this point. How many issues are you into Days Worth Living?
So, including remaking issue 2 and 3, which I should say excluding, because we already made those issues. We're just retouching them.
Yeah.
The next issue would be issue 13. So we have currently done 12 issues, and each volume is about 7 issues long. So we're about to wrap up the arc that is volume 2.
Wow. So how long have you been working on this series?
We started in January of 2025.
Oh my gosh, that is so fast. How was it possible that you guys did 13 issues in what, a year and a half?
A lot of, I don't know how you want to describe this. Maybe
just working on it, I guess.
Yeah.
So whenever I have free time, I do what I can for the drawing, and we work very well together. Like, I will do the sketching and the line work, and he will do the coloring, and he'll kind of send it back to me, and then I'll get the shading done. And then he'll do the words. So.
Okay, good. You answered that question, because that was going to be another question of mine. Is who does what in the story, in the production?
Yeah, and like the outline of the story is written by Erica. I basically took the loose outline that she had made and then broke it down into issues, and then added bigger pieces, more characters, things that had never even really been discussed, like showing winter in Wisconsin. That was something that just showed up, and it's like,
no,
we could do that.
It's interesting that you say that. A friend of mine does a zombie comic called Avalon, and it's in Philadelphia. In the winter is when it starts. And so I love that you guys are thinking that way, because a zombie apocalypse in the snow
It unlocks so many opportunities.
Right? Is a completely different chaotic scene than it is like in every other movie we get, where it's like, it's Dallas. Like, okay, there's no snow there.
It's New York.
Right? You throw in
the summer.
Say again?
I was going to say, like, cities like LA or New York, but it's always in the summer. Like,
yeah. And it's like, okay, the power goes out. Well, that's way different in the snow.
Yeah. So, having to go from house to house for generators and such like
generators and lighting fires, and that gives away your position, because all of that makes noise and smoke and
God forbid your zombies can hunt. That's definitely not a plot point.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
But we'll let you put your show back on the rails.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't function on the rails, as you've noticed. All right. So how often are you guys working on this comic? Do you get together day?
Yeah, it's pretty much every day if I can find some time. I find that on average by the end of the week, because I do most of it on my iPad, it tells me I've spent about 4 hours a day, 3 or 4 hours a day on it.
And how does that flow work between the two of you? So it's like when you get done, is there a Google Drive? You just send Rowen an email or send him a message or tap him on the shoulder. Next page is ready.
A bit of that one, really.
Yeah. I mean, usually we send the pages just like through an email. Whenever I get them done, I'm like, here you go. It's time for you to start coloring and go from there.
Okay. And so when you get to the end, do you have an editing process? Do you have a formatting process? And then you put it up on the website, or like?
The way I would break it down is, so there's we have an outline that has all of the issues laid out. Then you handwrite out basically how you want the pages to, what panels to include. Then you sketch it, do your final inking, send it my way. It gets colored. I send it back for shading. That's when you add your highlights. I send you all of the dialogue I have written. You put that in with the speech bubbles, and then I compile it all together and then post it online.
Okay. So when you're posting it, do you post it as an issue, or are you posting individual pages?
As a full issue. We want to release it all at once.
Gosh. So then how often are you? 13. Okay, so 12 finished in 18 months. That's like almost an issue a month.
We've been shooting for an issue a month. We slowed down a little bit because she changed jobs, and the job she had before, she was basically allowed to work on it on the clock, but now she's at her new job. She can't do that.
Yeah.
So our time has been slowed down a little bit, but definitely during volume 1, it was close to an issue a month.
Oh my gosh. Fish Lee, man. You got some competition for those fast hands. Fish is super fast too. So it amazes me that you guys are able to do stuff like this. Wow. I would love to share let me share screen. I'm gonna put the link up there too. If you guys like zombies, okay, we're gonna dig into the story.
Yes.
I know. I was like, first we need to get my zombie nerdiness out of the way, because I always want to know.
Back on that from time to time.
Yeah, I always want to know how you feel about World War Z and Warm Bodies. Those are kind of like the two things I ask everybody who is into zombies. And it's like, all right, well, let's go into your story. So this link that I shared on the screen for everybody that's watching is a wonderful online comics site where you can read all of their work, which is crazy to me that you guys don't charge money for this.
Yeah, and that's the plan, is to keep it free at least until the mainline series is done. Never really getting halfway through it and being like, now you have to pay to read it. If you started reading it for free, I want people to be able to finish reading it for free.
Wow. I disagree with that, but but to each their own. You do what you want, right? And so the setup is really cool. If you look at this, guys, so you can click on that side of the screen and turn pages, right? So, okay, so issue 1, In the Dark. Tell me where this is starting. Give me the elevator pitch, and then we'll dig deep into this.
Do you want to, or do you want me to?
You can.
All right.
Yeah.
So a little bit of context. The setting is sort of modern, but not modern day. It takes place in 2005, which the political atmosphere at the time, especially in the US, is an underlying theme that I wanted to capture. So that I think that time period is important. But we are in a suburb of Chicago, following a teacher, Joshua Martins, who is with his 2nd and 5th grade classes on a field trip to the zoo. And suddenly, a bunch of sirens in the city start going off. And as they load up onto the bus to try and make it back to the school, as they're driving through suburban Chicago, things start to unravel around them.
I was like,
Eventually
when it
leaving
goes
them.
fast. I was like, here we are at the zoo. Oh, nope, we got zombies.
I wanted to keep it fast paced enough that by the end of issue 1, we had at least seen the zombies, if not understanding them. So we don't know what they are in the context of the characters, but I wanted to at least show them a couple times, and of course show the outbreak and the collapse of society.
Oh, 100%, because this was a fun read. You know what I mean? Where, you know, if you spent too much time on the kids in the zoo, like, you could lose readers because it, you know, but the pacing in this is great. Like, we start out and immediately there's stuff going on in the background. It's ominous, like, oh, the sirens are going off, or we're hearing things on the walkie and we're not getting the whole sentence. You know what I mean? And kids are starting to be sick.
Yeah. I was really passionate about film when I was a kid. I wanted to be going into film, but I never ended up going to college or anything and focused solely on indie work. But a lot of the panels are based on film technique. So in the very first page, the reveal for the zombies is already there. It's just something that unravels over time. We've been setting up the seed since the beginning.
I wasn't going to say anything, but I was like, okay, do we have contaminated food? And that's where, because I was going to ask, because a lot of times I've read a little bit further and there's stuff about water. And so I was like, how do I say things? Don't spoil it for the readers. But at some point in the story, do you reveal how the virus started?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, one is more subtle, and that's in the beginning of volume 2. So that's already free to read. It's already up. Issue 8 gives a slight reveal, but later on down the line, we plan to have that full reveal that is like, yes, this is how it started and why.
I love that. And I think more zombie stories need to have that. This is the soapbox I get on. It's like, we've had the stories where we don't know what causes it and everybody's just fighting each other or fighting zombies. We've had all that. Night of the Living Dead, Day of the Dead, you know, all the Romero movies. So I mean, like 28 Days Later, we get that. We got it. But what's the other one I was trying to think? Walking Dead is a huge one where they vaguely mention.
They play around the circle of it without ever going, this is how it is.
Right. But it's like, so many people want to know, how did this whole thing start? Right. Because
either show it or don't tease it for as long as you did.
Right. You know, I don't know. But we've already had that, you know, so I love the fact that we find out what it is. And it's like, I'm already trying to piece together what's happening. I haven't gotten that far yet. But I was like, why are you showing us hot dogs in this first panel? And I was like, is this the plague hot dogs? Is that what this is? Don't answer that. But it's either that or the giraffes caused it. The giraffes have caused the zombie apocalypse.
The giraffe flu.
You heard it here first on the Tuesday Morning Brew. Giraffes caused the apocalypse. So. But I love how it's like, the kids are getting sick. And I was like, uh-oh. But they haven't been bitten. So that tells me there's something going on here. And it's like, they're getting on the bus and there's already, again, we haven't seen the zombies, but we see there's chaos.
Yeah, we see the effects of what is going on around the characters.
Mm-hmm.
When I build worlds or set pieces, I always want to allow whoever's there to, as I say, play tourist a little bit. So you're with them, but the world isn't necessarily affecting them yet because you're just absorbing everything. You're just taking in, all right, people are running. There's a level of chaos, but it's not quite in your face yet.
I like that. It's like you're in the story and you're living it along with the characters instead of being told what's going on. It's like you're in it. And you know, one of the challenges that I find in the comics is the sound. You know what I mean? Where it's like
oh my God, yes.
Sirens, and you have like traffic and zombie sounds and chaos, and it's like, you know, I almost wish we could have like a soundtrack in the background. So like when you flip the page, you can hear what's going on in the ambience. I wish we could do that, but it's one of the challenges
That
we
would
have.
be really cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Erica, you can figure that out, right?
I could try.
You got enough on your shoulders. I'll do it.
I did that one. I have
Ooh.
right in the middle of issue 7, I have a double splash page, and it's so full of sound that I didn't want to fill all the background with SFX to kind of show the impact of the sound of this moment. And so I put a QR code in the bottom left corner, and when you scan it, there's like a soundtrack, and it starts filling in the sound. So it's like a 3-page experience where it's
That's
like you
amazing.
can see what's going on as you turn the pages. And I don't know, people seem to like it, and it's free. It's just a QR code, and I have a YouTube channel, of course, and so I just put it as a private video on my YouTube. So you scan it, you can go there and see what it sounds like.
As you're saying, that's a beautiful way to do it without having to basically build it into the site itself.
Yeah, I mean, and it's like a lot of times that's the challenge, is how far do you push those SFX? It's like, I felt like if I was going to do really to visually show how loud it would have filled all the empty space, but then you're taking away from the moment that the character is feeling, you know what I mean, in the art. So that's why I was like, that my issue 7 was so challenging, because it's like there was a lot going on, there was very little dialogue. And so like if you can flip through that super fast, but it's like I want people to sit there and feel those moments. And so how do you do that, you know?
And there's such a beautiful thing in overcoming like a really difficult hurdle in an issue or even a panel. Like we have had panels that are just a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
Explain. What do you mean by that?
Sometimes I think that's been one of the harder hurdles to overcome, is knowing when to leave a panel alone, because not every panel has to be perfect, but sometimes panels just like really messed up, and I spend a lot of time just drawing and redrawing, and that's, I'd say that's one of the hurdles, is just figuring out when it's good enough versus when it's like it still needs some work.
Well, yeah, and I feel like the time aspect, because time is so precious, right? And so like this is the challenge, my poor editor, I love her to pieces. And so like she'll come back with this big list of stuff, and I look at it and I'm like, would anybody notice that except for Rachel and myself? Because if it's like something so minuscule that no one will notice, I'm not going to ask the art team to go back and spend time fixing it if it's something that I'm like, no one's going to notice that except for you and me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think we have a good workflow like that, where I've definitely pushed, let's push this panel a little harder, but also at the same time, like it's such a tiny detail that we could just leave it alone. Let's keep rolling.
Yeah, and we've slowly been figuring that out, like what people will and won't notice.
Right. I had a long discussion about makeup on one of the characters, and I'm like, you guys realize that no one's going to care.
Yeah.
I was like, well, no one's going to care. I'm like, we care. I was like, but no one else is going to care. I'm like, no one will notice if we change her makeup. So stuff like that. And I love that you guys have these big splash pages in there. And it's like this really, I feel like the big emotions. So it's like, here they are, they're panicking. This one just caught me, of like the chaos that's going on, you know, in the story. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was not one that I had really any input in. You just started making this page, and it became a tradition pretty much that every issue has one of these big splash pages.
Yes, I love it. In fact, the one that's in, I think it's in this issue that I want to talk about. This one specifically. This one, right? Let's talk about it, because we've all seen this image. This is very nostalgic for any zombie movie that you've watched, any zombie TV show that you've watched, right? We've all come upon this building, and it's like, is it safe or is it not? But the mailbox is what gets me, because even though it's in red, I mean, we've seen happy versions of this, the Smiths with maybe a white hand,
Yes.
you know, where it's the family and it's together, but turning it red, you know, there's nothing really scary, and that makes it scary. That one choice of color to me was like, oh, okay, we're screwed.
And you know? I think this page is so important because it's the first sign of a safe haven. So they've been walking on foot as afternoon is slowly turning to night throughout the previous 2 issues. So issue 1, 2, and 3 all take place over the course of an afternoon, like 5 hours. So this is their reprieve from that. But at the same time, there is a level of dread in showing up here with not knowing what's going on. You know, this is a house full of family of one of the members of the group, and you're a bunch of adults plus a guy you picked up in a neighborhood.
Right.
Yeah.
So I don't know how much I trust that guy right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, I mean, just this image I thought was really well placed, because again, there's nothing overtly nefarious in this image, but yet it's unsettling. And again, it's like, I don't know if it's the choice of the red paint on the green, you know, mailbox, or it's just the fact that if you're a zombie fan that you relate to this image through other media. I don't know, but this is really well placed, Erica, where it hits differently depending on your I don't know, your experience, your lived history with zombieism. I might take something completely different than this, you know, from this than someone else. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a varied experience.
Yeah.
Does the license plate mean anything? I'm just curious.
We wanted an Illinois plate to keep it authentic, but other than that, it was just a random assortment of, because we didn't want to accidentally dox anybody.
I just thought maybe there was like a secret message in the numbers or something.
Sorry to disappoint, but
no.
I guess the only thing I could say about the car is that the main character really drives a kind of a shitbox.
Yeah, that's hilarious. So look, you guys, I mean, gosh. We got character art in here. The whole volume, 8, 9, 10. Character art, more character art, 11 and 12. And so, I mean, the link is in the chat. Here it is. So if you guys want to just dive into this, you can. I don't know. There's just something about binge reading that I really enjoy. And I'm always jealous of people like it. I have this dual way of thinking, because the way I release my story is via Kickstarters, which helps me pay for the art team. And so I need those people to be with us every issue and come along for the story. But I also am so jealous of the people that find us on like issue 8. You know what I mean? Because then they get to binge read 1 through 8. I don't know. So I'm kind of, you know, like, I feel lucky that I found you on when you already have 12, so you just read them all.
Yeah, that's kind of the part we were excited for, actually, is beginning to really push the comic after we do have a couple more issues for people to actually read.
Rather than just waiting on basically 2 artists that have never done this before.
Yeah.
But you guys release so often. That's really unheard of in the indie comic scene. It really is. And I mean, like when I run a Kickstarter, like that's a month, and then there's 2 weeks before I even get the funds. And then my art team, you know, is continually working on art. So it takes them maybe another month to get finished, right? And then we have to edit, and that takes time. And then I have to format it, and it goes to the printer, so I ran a Kickstarter in February.
Wow.
See what I mean? What's that?
That's a process that I think just like is so beyond the scope of something I could wrap my head around.
I mean, anybody can figure it out. Anybody can do it. If I can do it, anybody can do it. Because I wasn't even making comics or reading comics. You know, when I wrote this story I wrote Path of the Pale Rider as a screenplay, and then didn't know what to do with it, and then got into comics. You know what I mean? I think I had read, you know, it's like who watches The Watchmen. I was reading The Walking Dead, Invincible, like Robert Kirkman and Image stuff, but I would never call myself like a comic book person until I started making comics.
It's funny how that comics pipeline works. Hey, I want to go into this. And then you just kind of end up funneling into it.
Yeah, you know, that's why I always do that in the beginning of the shows, because everybody kind of gets to comics and through a different way. And it's so interesting how we're all here. And it's like, the thing I love about indie comics is that you can have comics about zombies, but you can have comics about, like, I need to put this one up on the screen too, because this one's coming. This is my buddy George Medina, and he has this one that's called The Shameless Plug, and it's about a kid who wants to fit, and he just moved, and they're trying to fit into a new school, and he has this friend that is literally a plug. You know what I mean? And so it's like, you could have comics about anything, everything. I've seen comics about wrestling and bowling and aliens and demons, and
there's another one on the site we use that's about ice hockey, and it's a romance story between the hockey player and the sport itself. And it's like, that's the thing comics can be about. It's such a wide genre.
Right. So that's what I love so much about it, is that, and there's no kind of like age cutoff either. I'm in my 40s. Okay. And so I got into comics late, but there's no like acting. If I wanted to be an actress, it's like, you got to start young, because if you want those roles, right, to make your name,
portfolio a little bit.
Exactly. You have to be younger to get those roles. And then if you're like, turn 30 as a female in Hollywood, you get like mother roles and right.
Yeah. You've reached your third decade. You're officially blacklisted from being any of the young princess roles now.
Yep, exactly. That's what happens. And so comics is because you can get into, like you said, when you're 16 and blow people away. You can get in like me when you're 40 and you because your kids are in school and you have free time. Right? There is no gatekeeping. There's none of that. If you want to do,
it's a great community for the most part too.
For the most part, I mean, like, people, there's people here, so
you got bad actors everywhere.
Yeah.
If there's people involved, shit can happen. But like you said, for the most part, it's like we're all like, hey, I love comics and I want to read what you're putting out, you know?
Yeah. I've been really happy that we've been met with so much positivity so far, because I wasn't sure how it would be received.
Yeah.
So
no, it's awesome. And the fact that you guys have it just for free online is amazing. You felt that? Pop is a huge part of the community, you guys, too, because the network, this network that we're on, the Madness Entertainment Group, that's all they do is they promote indie, and it gives us kind of a home where we can go and we can nerd out together and we have fun. So thank you, Pops, for giving us a place to do that. Absolutely. So one thing I asked these guys, in case you're interested, because I know there's a camp PDF and then there's a camp physical copy, right? Every time I run a Kickstarter, I will make both available. And then there's always people that want one or the other. So these are all read on your device, read on your computer, read on your phone, which I was doing this morning with my glasses off so I could read it because I'm old. But if you look here, there is a shop button. Just share that screen. And there is merch. T-shirts, which I love. And then, of course, we have volume 1. So we can get a physical copy as well. Cool. So the complete first volume, Days Worth Living, featuring issues 1 through 7, and that's 120 pages, all in one book. That's a lot of pages.
It was more than we thought it would end up with, honestly.
Yeah, it really was. Once we put them together, we were like, wow.
This is a lot bigger than we thought.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's amazing. So if you are team physical copy, this is where you go, you guys. So you can, once you sign in and make an account and put your information in, it's made in the UK?
Yes, so the publisher we work with is from the EU,
Oh.
And they reached out to us about really when we released the first couple issues, and they were like, hey, we're doing this comics platform, and it's this very small press that had hardly gotten off its feet. I think we were maybe the 7th team or 7th creator to jump on.
I think so.
And now there's over 100 different authors and artists that are posting their work there.
That's so cool. Durable. So it's a paperback. Very cool. No reviews. We'll do some reviews. Always need some reviews. And there's all these, I mean, like this is the first time I've seen this site. And so I plan on doing some exploring for sure. It looks really cool. A ton of stuff on here. Anyway, as I nerd out. Sorry, I'll talk on the show now instead of...
You are welcome to nerd out.
Yeah, absolutely. It is a very cool website.
Yeah.
And the people who created it have just been like wonderful. They really listened to the people who are posting on it, and that's how they got such a great format for the readers as well. And the visibility altogether, I think, has just been great for them.
Yeah. And Pop says we promote things like that. Tell them to reach out to us. Absolutely.
Yeah, to Marco.
Yeah, and then he can talk about all the stuff that he built here, because there's a ton of indie creators in this network. And, you know, if there's a place for us to post more comics so people can read them, why wouldn't we?
That's a win.
Yeah.
A win. This is what we want, is for people to read our book. You know, it's just another place for people to find us. So absolutely, we encourage that. Before I start pummeling you with more questions, this is actually a good time to play our game. Very excited. I did warn them, but I think it's less of a warning and more like a, yeah, let's do this. So here we are. We're going to play Would You Hug This? It's not ominous or anything, right?
No. No, I'm completely calm.
You know, again, there's no right or wrong answers. I had a lot of zombie stuff in here already, so I'm just going to run you through it. I love that we started out as a zoo, because what if we had zombie animals as well? Would you hug some of these? So, of course, we have our very first. Do we recognize this dog?
I have heard you say some like wild things about dog characters, like, oh, he's just a good boy, he needs hugs. So if you say anything but no, I'm going to call you a liar.
Yeah, he's gonna say if he's a good boy who still knows commands, I might give him a hug. He knows how to sit.
Now, okay, so in my story, Path of the Pale Rider, we do have undead animals, and they're not. It's not a virus. It's not people and animals are not flesh craving, and so we could have something that looks like this that would be friendly. In fact, we have an undead dog named Sad Pancake, and he's a good boy. But he's so I mean, it's a possibility. You just have to come over to Camp Path of the Pale Rider, and you can still have your forever puppy, Erica.
Yay!
But this boy, are you hugging this boy?
You know, this one looks a little bit less like a good boy, if I'm being honest. He looks a little aggressive.
He's smiling. He's smiling, Rowen.
I'm afraid of dogs and like non-undead dogs, so
Yeah.
this is a very easy one for me.
So that's a no for Rowen and a yes for Erica?
It's a maybe for me.
It's a maybe. I ain't hugging this thing. I know where this is from. This is a Resident Evil dog, and we ain't going there. So
The only thing from Resident Evil I want to hug is Leon.
yeah, I ain't. Now, since you have kids in the story, I also wanted to pull up some famous zombie or undead children to see if you would hug them. Now, this one scared the bejesus out of me because I probably saw this movie too young. And probably is one of the reasons why I like horror, even though it scared the crap out of me. But would you hug Gage?
You know, I really don't like what he does to the old man with the part with his Achilles. I still sometimes passing in front of like a couch or a bed that has a gap underneath, I'd still kind of be like, gotta lift my ankles up a bit.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with no.
Erica?
I'd probably go with no as well.
Gage is kind of evil too.
Like, this movie messed me up as a kid. Like, I think I was 8 when I saw this. And, oh my gosh. The Menace is a promotional network. Second and crazy third. Yes, absolutely. It's a would you hug Mr. X? Yeah. Carrie, I don't understand. You have to tell us again. But this movie warped both my sister and I. I went into writing horror, and she is so afraid of anything. Sleeps with the nightlight. She's 40. But I remember her like double jumping into her bed so that way her feet were not under because of this movie.
I'm glad I'm not alone.
No, I think it's like a communal trauma that we all experience because of Gage. Kill it. Drop kick that baby.
I think Church scared me more when I was a kid, though.
Church?
Yeah, the cat.
Oh, the cat. Ugh. Did you guys like the remake of that? Did you watch the remake?
No, I think it lost the plot in so many ways.
Yeah. I was testing if you know Resident Evil. Oh, Mr. X. I haven't played too many of the games, Carrie. I need to play more of those games. All right, I have another child for you. The very first one from Walking Dead. Oh, yeah. She's just so misunderstood. Are we hugging this poor child?
I'm going to say yes for one reason, like a meta reason. I like that the actress enjoyed doing it so much that she came back to play another Walker on the show. And I'm like, if you've got that type of energy in life, I don't know.
You can go full on Carol from the comics and just hug it and end yourself.
It might be an all right way to punch my own ticket.
Right. If you're done, go hug a child. A zombie child. Erica, are you hugging?
No. she doesn't, at least she doesn't seem like she's overly aggressive like the rest of the zombies in the first season. But she does look like she'd probably smell pretty bad.
Did you hate teeth?
Yeah, and like
you'd have to go full on Michonne and like take off the bottom jaw or something.
Yeah.
That way.
Get a paper bag.
Ooh, what about a mesh bag? Like, you know, like the mesh they put those underwater divers in so they don't get shark bites. You know what I'm talking about?
I do know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Ooh. At first, is that a zombie world hack? Is that a zombie to wear like a shark bite suit?
I mean, if you start breaking down zombie media like that, it's like, why don't people just wear tougher clothing half the time? Yeah. And I get some of the argument being like, well, it's not always practical for weather or what have you, but really people should at least wear long sleeves.
Yeah. Yeah.
Could chain to Busan and like put the magazines around you, tape them on, like even that's better.
You're drawing sweaters so much that it's kind of giving us a reasonable, like, yeah, they're smart enough not to get bit.
This is
wearing
true.
Long sleeves.
I know, like they can at least bite the fabric and not your skin.
Yeah.
All right, so terrifying thought. I have a giant undead bear built into my world, and he is not nice. But what about a giant undead moose?
Normal
moose are bad enough.
Yeah, kind of aggressive anyway.
Yeah. By the way, Christopher Movie Smash says, it's about fashion. You need to look stylish in a zombie outbreak. That's funny. Carrie says, would you tell the Horde in World War Z to line up for hugs? No.
That moose looks scary, so I don't know where you got that picture from, but
I honestly, and this is a kind of a sad story, I think this one got burnt in a forest fire. So it's not obviously undead, but this is, I think, a real moose with some trauma. So, but if it sorry about the trauma, but if it was an undead moose in your world, what are we doing with this thing? Run?
Yeah, that's probably the answer.
Find a tree to climb up.
Yeah, I think that's usually what to do with moose anyway.
Yeah, that's why. Okay, so the name of the bear in my story is called Big James. And the reason why he is so terrifying to me is because bears can run. They run fast. They climb trees. They swim. Right?
I was going to say swimming is the first thing I thought of.
And so it's like there's no way to get away from this thing, and you can't kill it, right? And so in my world, the headshots don't work. You can't kill things. Like death is broke. And so it's like if you can't stop it, what do you do?
I can't shoot Big James, but I could shoot myself.
Yeah, except you won't die either in my world, so that's a problem.
Well, that exhausts all my options.
Yeah, that's it. You trip your friend. That's the answer.
Yeah.
I hug and no moose, living or undead. I am no to each choice on screen. I also agree. I'm not hugging because the horse isn't going to hug me back. Is that the only reason up, Silver? I'm just asking. The creature needs to reciprocate. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, relationship is a two-way street.
Yeah.
That's right. All right. All right. Again, this is where I feel like our genre needs to be rebooted, but are you aware of this show?
You were talking about this the other day.
Yeah, I don't know if it was this morning or last night, but I was like, I feel like we lost the plot somewhere when I saw
Okay, see? You agree with me. But I see, I'm half and half on this show. Because I feel like I hate to say this, it's a gateway drug. Because my kids watch this show.
There you go.
Right? So they can handle these zombies. They couldn't handle my zombies or yours for that matter, but they can handle these ones. So it's almost like, hey kids, check out zombies. They're not scary until they are. You know what I mean? But I'm with you where it's like, we have lost the plot if we can make kid appropriate zombies. So I don't know. Chris says, my kids love it too. Every sequel they add a new monster type.
And I think zombies as a comedic device isn't necessarily a bad thing. It always comes down to execution. Like Shaun of the Dead is a classic, even though it's comedy.
Yeah, but it's definitely gory though. I mean,
right? It's rated R for a reason.
Right. But you're right. Like it definitely has its comedic moments, and I think that's one of the movies that it's done well.
Right, an understanding of the genre.
Yes, understanding the genre. But are you hugging these zombies? I guess if they take their meds, we can hug them. But do you want
They're
to?
teenagers. I don't want to hug any teenager.
They're definitely still stinky, right?
They gotta be.
All teenagers are stinky, to be honest.
Can you imagine throwing Axe body spray on over decaying flesh?
That's amazing. We should do that. We should have zombie-approved air fresheners.
Stick them in your car. Except your car's AC doesn't work. So.
But I mean, like, if they change the name of the show to just Teenagers, I feel like it would be the same show.
Right. Yeah.
You know, and now that I'm thinking about it, I don't remember what the zombie movie was. But when I was a kid, there was a zombie movie that was a kids movie that I really enjoyed. So I don't remember. It was probably a Disney movie, honestly. But now that I'm thinking about this, there was a scene of a zombie jumping on a trampoline, and it was the funniest thing ever. I don't remember what the movie was.
Were pieces falling off? Because that would have been hilarious. There goes his arm.
Something
Do you remember
like that
any
could
bodily
have
dismemberment?
Know, but
Yeah. It's like the zombie thresher. It's just a trampoline.
man,
Could you imagine zombies at an anime convention? Yeah. Isn't there anime with zombies in it? There has to be.
Zom 100, and I mean that's the first one I could think of. But I know there's got to be hundreds.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm like, I know a lot of the bigger ones like Attack on Titan, Demon Slayer, and some of the older ones too, like Neon Evangelion, stuff like that. But there's so many that I wish I had time to watch. The problem is that they're so long.
Yeah.
I feel like it's a commitment that I'm not ready to make. All right, so I got one more. Carrie, should I show them we'll do the bunny. Carrie's favorite, or Lou Pons, but she's not here right now. We'll show you. This is real.
I remember when that came out in the news and people were freaking out about it.
Hopefully you know what this is. Erica, are you familiar?
I feel like I've seen this image, but no, I'm not very familiar.
So this rabbit has an aggressive form of HPV virus, which is herpes, and they're growing these like woody growths all over, and it's in North America, so probably up by you guys, but it's in rabbits and squirrels. And it's super contagious. So I feel like this is how like Last of Us starts.
Yeah.
Right?
Right?
Yeah, I'm not going to hug the rabbit.
No.
Yeah, I'm going to pass on that one.
Yeah. I'll pass on that one as well, I think.
I watched Watership Down at too young of an age.
But first, the black rabbit comes. I ain't touching this thing either. Like I said, I feel like because right now they're like, oh, it's not contagious to humans, but it could be.
Yeah, yet.
It would be once I touched it, I'm sure.
You'd be
Something would
zero.
happen, and I'd be like, oh man, I went hugging the rabbit.
Yep, that's how it gets started. So that's it. That is the game, you guys. You survived. Would you hug this? That's it. Here we go. I like my little.
I like it too.
Yeah,
It's got a lot of personality.
It's like so happy, and then it's like blood and gunshot at the end.
right.
Ooh. I don't know how I feel about that. So questions. Let's go back to Days Worth Living. So I need to know. So you're working on 13. How far out have you written?
Issue 80.
Oh my God. So there is an end.
Yes. We haven't quite drafted that out yet. I would say we're definitely in the at least 3/4 of the way through, because we're breaking it down by seasons. So this starts in the fall. We're ending the winter arc real soon where I'm at in the outline, and then it's spring, but spring goes by really quick. So personally, I think we'd probably end somewhere at like issue 100, 110.
110. I don't know. 100 seems like such a daunting number. I'm hugging it. It looks like a bad symbiote. OP Silver is hoping for some superpowers from hugging that rabbit. So, oh my gosh. So let's do some math. So if it's one issue every month, who's good at math? Not me. Nope, I'm not going to do the math.
We're looking at about
Figure how long would it be till you get to issue 100?
probably about 8 to 10 years.
Did you say 10 years?
I would say that's the upper end of it, most likely.
Yeah.
All right, so one issue, let's say a month and a half. So 100 times 1.5, 150 months. So yeah, that's 12 years total.
We'd only be in our mid-30s by the time we got that done.
Hey, I'm sorry. How old are you?
24 this year.
Yep.
I'm gonna go ahead and say no to that. You're in your 20s, well, Lisa. Because when I look at how long I'm going to be working on my story, I feel like I'm going to be 97.
But if you're enjoying every step of the way.
Yeah, exactly.
That's true. I know, but I'll be that old lady at a Comic-Con and be like, here comes Nana. And I'll be like, I have zombie books. Which is too funny. So yeah, you'll be in your 30s? So what's
mid-30s.
Yeah, if everything kind of just continued the way it was currently.
See, that's the hard part, is because life always changes.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Like I said, like he said, we've slowed down a little bit because I changed jobs, but I still do what I can where I can, and it's hard to know where things could go, but
Yeah.
if things stayed the same.
Do you guys have a physical copy of your volume?
Somewhere.
Yeah, we do have one somewhere.
Rowen, go find it.
We weren't really. We had a couple of them, but found it.
Got it.
We do have one, yes.
Nice.
We also throughout the process made a couple like other just shorter ones that only have like the first 3 issues, and just to kind of see how it looked in print. And that was really motivating, actually, was seeing it in print
Yeah.
for the first time.
Do you guys ever, do you go to cons? Do you go to Comic-Cons and sell your books?
It is something we've discussed, but currently we were going to do one, and then last year I fell out of work, like I was unemployed for a time, so I didn't want to drop money on that maybe I didn't really have to spend.
Yeah,
It's definitely a goal we are considering and will do. Like, we want to do that. It's just saving the funds for it and getting set up.
Yeah. Hi, Matthew. Good morning. I mean, let's talk about that, because have you done research into like how a table is set up and how to display things on your table, what to bring to
I would say brief, but definitely not enough that we could just go to a con next week and do it. Yeah.
Just throw it together. I've been to a couple of cons just as like a visitor, so I've sort of seen what it looks like, but even then, a lot of the booths are set up a lot different. So I think finding out how we would display our comics properly would be something that we definitely had to look into prior.
Yeah, but I think you're right. I think that's the way to do it, is to go to cons and kind of walk the floor and see, you know, what other people are doing that works, stuff like that. And then cater it towards your own taste. I mean, that's what I did before I started, for sure. And it's like, you always have to have some kind of, I feel like, and this is me, I could be wrong here, but there's got to be some gimmick to get people to stop.
Yeah. Do you have to, there is a level of sales, like not necessarily, hey, this is a product you need, but you got to appeal somehow to get them just to pause.
So I have a couple things that I do, and this is kind of unique to me, but I make hot sauce.
I saw that in your before the show, and I was like, that is so cool. I don't really have a better way to say it. It's just a very cool.
It's so weird how it happened. It was a friend of mine, Christopher Braund. He writes comics and he does board games, but he also is an outdoorsman. So he goes hunting and fishing and that kind of stuff. And he has a cookbook. And so his hot sauce that I make is the barbecue. And it all started with like, hey, it would be really funny if I put your bear on the label. So we called it Path of the Pale Sauce, and there's Big James on the label. And it was just funny, right? And I was like, cool, you know, like just send me a bottle. I want one for me and one for my dad, you know? And so I took a picture and I put it on social media, and the people, the fans, the readers of Path were like, ha ha ha, that's, I get one. And I was like,
Are you serious? Like,
I didn't even think that far, right? And then it just like, it took on a whole life of its own. But the hot sauce is actually a story. And so it's a great crossover for me, because I'll ask people, do you want to talk hot sauce or do you want to talk comics? Do you want to try hot sauce? Because usually people are in one camp or the other. When they're in both, it's great. But if they want to talk comics, I take a table copy and I put it in their hands. So I'll take an issue 1 and I'll hand it to them. And so that makes them stop. So I would recommend having a table copy at your table someday. So as you're pitching them the story, they can look in the comic, and obviously they can't walk away with the comic. So
yeah,
but they're there to at least briefly follow along as you got them that
right. And I mean, like it just gives you a chance to get through your pitch instead of like trying to pitch to them as they're
walking away.
Yeah.
Like this, like that's great. I'm gonna go now, right? And again, if you're trying to hand them something and they keep walking, then it's like, all right, they're not interested anyway.
Let them go.
I'll wait for the next one, right? Either that or they're eating all my chips and having hot sauce.
Yeah.
That's a hook in its own way.
It is, but there's one con that I go to every year called Texoma. It's in Oklahoma, just over the Texas border. And there's this kid that comes every year. He's like, "Oh, hi, how you doing?" And he knows who I am. I know who he is because he just stands there and eats my chips. And I'm like, "I love you, but I can't feed you all. Like these were for people who are interested in actually buying stuff. Like I'll give them 2, and I'll be like, you're cut off."
We're gonna open a tab for him.
What?
I said you got to open a tab for him.
Yeah, and be like, all right, next time you come back, you have to buy one.
Yeah.
He was like, you can try them all if you're buying, but stop eating all my chips. Hey, Carissa. Good morning. Is it still morning? Technically. To get people to stop by a booth, I did I'm sorry, is that pool or pole dancing routine, Chris? I was like, do you put a pole next to your con table? You better not be doing that. That's your wife's table. I know exactly what's going on. His wife is a doctor, and so I'm pretty sure she would tell him, no, please go pole dance somewhere else. But I've seen people do like spinning wheels. Why not both? Are you pole dancing in a kiddie pool? Oh, sir, you need to leave. So it's just some ideas. And I know, like, if you're on social media, which you guys are, there's an opportunity to just kind of put out there, like, what do I need to know before I go to my first con kind of thing. So
open up the door for that sort of engagement as well.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, especially with a zombie story, there's so many things that you could do. I even have little like gummies that I purchased from someone, right? And so they put together like a zombie gummy pack for me. And so there's like brains and gummy eyeballs, and it's really cool. So it's like you can have all sorts of stuff on your table for fun.
With how much you love Jell-O, we could make a big bowl of cherry Jell-O and make it look like a brain.
You laugh, but someone has done that. You know those the Taba squishies?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I made some of those, and one of my friends was like, I'm going to do it. And he made a giant brain. And so it's on
awesome.
the table, and he was like, would you like to poke my brain? Just come up and poke it. You should do it.
We're making a big squishy brain now.
Yes. You need a big squishy brain, don't we all? All right. So what other, are we just doing Days Worth Living? Have you ever thought about another title?
Do you want to talk about this, or should I?
Like,
there is one.
Like another name for it, or
not necessarily another name for this. I'm talking about like another story. If you have another script that you're considering, and I know it's hard when you're touching this story every day to keep your time frame of how you release, but what if you wanted to write like sci-fi or vampires, or is there another story that's in your mind just hanging out?
Yeah, there have been a couple other like comics that we said we'd probably do either after this, or if we took a hiatus, or maybe at the same time if the other one was very slow moving. You can
all right
talk about what they are.
The biggest one that I would say is worth mentioning is actually predates Days Worth Living. So it is what they would call basically an anthro comic, and it's called Mousetrap. And it's actually, there's an Easter egg for it in one of the issues of Days Worth Living. And it follows a family of anthropomorphic mice that are living in the basement of a French farmer. Now, unbeknownst to them, there is some sort of cataclysm that we haven't explained or haven't come up with that's going on. So the French authorities come down on this farmer's house and basically burn it down with the mice inside, and they're forced to leave and basically fend in the wild. And there are moments of one of the mice that's with them suddenly gets picked off by an owl and they're just gone.
Okay, so go back to Watership Down.
Yeah, it's a scary story about anthro mice trying to survive in the wild when all they've known is basically a domestic life.
That's interesting because I see your books as the same now because we have a apocalypse and then we have an apocalypse, right?
And there's a theme, I think, that I like isolation in stories. I feel like it provides kind of an interesting view into characters you wouldn't normally get.
Yeah.
And I mean, even in side projects, personal books I've written, it'll be in wintertime just because it isolates the characters. And I feel like isolation is always underexplored or underutilized. And I think the story that does it best is John Carpenter's The Thing.
Ooh, you are
And
right.
that is a huge inspiration on the comic. There are a ton of maybe not references, but you could definitely see areas where the movie inspired visuals and dialogue in Days Worth Living.
Yeah, and I feel like to me, it's like when you have an apocalypse story, or in that case, an isolation, it's like it's a powder keg. It's a way to kind of force characters to reveal their morals through their actions because of the situation.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. By the way, George, we were just talking about you. Your ears must have been burning because we were talking about how comics can be made out of anything, including anthropomorphic people with the head of a plug. Like this one. So we had this on screen where we were talking about how this is launching this week, right, George? Thursday? So this is something you guys definitely, I already have this saved, but you know what? I didn't even drop the link. Let me drop the link for everybody. If you want to sign up for notification. I always do that because I want to know right when the thing launches, because a lot of times if there's exclusives or there's early bird deals and they're limited, that's how you get them, is you show up right when it launches. But this is launching on Thursday. I thought
it really is coming up.
What's that?
I said it really is coming up like now. It's
it's like any minute. So it's like, 5 minutes ago. I'm just kidding. But yeah, so this is George Medina, my buddy, and this is his book. So definitely make sure everybody is signed up and ready for launch on that one. I am. So what were we talking about? Isolation. Have you guys ever experienced isolation, or what is it about it that you think is, exciting for story writing?
We both grew up in, like I said, like the center of Wisconsin. And
are you saying the center of Wisconsin is isolation?
Yeah, especially when you're like living in a town that's you pass through and the population is like 48 people.
What?
It's like, it's home, but it's a lot of just open. You know everybody there because there's so few people, and all around you for miles is just a lot of wilderness, or it has been reclaimed by wilderness. So old train tracks, old lumber yards, fire watch towers that have now just become so overgrown. They are part of the landscape now. And I think visually there is a lot you can tell in a story, especially in a comic format, which is mostly visual, that you don't have to have any dialogue as you're passing through those areas, because those areas you've drawn that are just isolated are telling the story if you do it right.
I 100% agree with that. I feel like that's what, if you're utilizing, how do I want to say this? If you understand the genre of visual storytelling, so comics, you should understand that there's dialogue, and then there's action, and then there's background. And you can tell a story with all three of those in the same panel.
Yes. And one of our philosophies, it's funny because we were talking about The Walking Dead and not necessarily doing it better. I think in comparison to Robert Kirkman's work, at least on the comic series of The Walking Dead, there is a level of reversal that we've done as far as storytelling. So where there might be a large pitched battle with like the Saviors and the Whisperers, how those become plot lines where survivors are up in basically a war. We do the opposite. The struggle is surviving with no one around.
Yeah.
There's no one there to help you, antagonist or otherwise.
Scary. I get that though, because that's kind of like where I put my guy in the beginning of my story. He's just out in the wild. It's just him and his horse. And so it's like, how do you deal with a world that, like you said, it's like being reclaimed by the wild. Plus you have zombie things and you just got what's on your back.
How do you deal with a world that's forgotten you?
Yeah, I love that. Oh, that needs to be your tagline. You need to make that your. How do you live in a world that's forgotten you? How do you survive in a world that's forgotten you? That's great. Yeah, I mean it. That needs to be on your shirts, on your books. You need to make coffee mugs, all the merch.
That'll be the volume 3 tagline.
I love it. Pop says, "How far are you from the Dells? I spent a few summer vacations there. Aren't those on the east coast of Wisconsin?"
Yeah, they're south central, I would say.
Yeah.
Oh,
They're nearby.
Yeah, we're actually not terribly.
Yeah,
far
we could
from
get
the
there
Dells.
in about an hour, less maybe.
Yeah.
in Texas terms, that's close.
Yeah, it's one of those. It's cool to visit when it's not tourist season.
Yeah.
When it's
So
tourist
now.
season, it's like, oh my gosh, we do not want to go anywhere near it.
No. That would be a great vehicle to have, though, in the zombie apocalypse. One of those ducks. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I remember going in a duck ride where it was like, it's just I need a cover, though, right? But it's a truck, and it's basically a boat.
I always wonder how those worked. Like, I don't understand how they move through the water, but
Yeah, me neither. I'm sure. Math, physics, engineering, all of that stuff.
I'm creative. I don't need to worry about that.
Right, I was like, it works. That's all you need to know.
And I draw it to look believable.
Right. And then Pop says, when I was there, it was not at all developed, just campgrounds. And that was in the 70s. Pop says. Sorry, Pops. We love you. Cool. It is a beautiful area.
Yeah, I've heard some people saying like how the Dells has changed so much, how it is such a tourist place now. And I'm sure it has something to do with all the water parks probably.
Yeah.
But it is kind of cool to hear about how busy it wasn't prior, and now it's very busy.
But Pops is from Michigan. Michigan is that way too. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like it has lots of beautiful lakes and areas to go camping in, and it's all getting developed. Too many people.
Yeah.
Right?
Just need an apocalypse.
I was gonna say, get an apocalypse to sort it out.
I know, we're so terrible. Have you ever noticed that people that write the darkest stories, they're just like, so, I mean, like, I look at you two and I'm like, oh, so happy and so cheery.
I think when you understand like human and sometimes not human depravity and just a level of disgustingness, like you're willing to get into themes or topics or visuals that are unsettling. You appreciate joy a lot more.
But that's it, right? It's like, if you have a dark side and you let it out, then it's like,
we have an outlet. Yeah.
Exactly. I've exercised those demons. I can go bake bread now. I'm happy.
Maybe we kill too many kids, though.
The adults die too. It's not just the children.
Yeah, but early on.
You know, have you killed off dogs though?
No, not
yeah, I
not
don't think
yet.
we've killed off dogs.
Not yet. He says. Rowan's like, that's not on the list.
There is an issue in the outline that is like an event, but cats are more important, I think, just as a cat owner.
Well, correction. Pops is from Minnesota, but he currently lives in Michigan. Yes, sorry. Because there's like that's a thing, right? There's a whole website called "Does the Dog Die?"
I didn't know there was a whole website for it, but I'm not surprised.
Yeah, I think
There 100% is, because I had to go look to see if I was on it. But yeah, there's a website that warns people basically to let them know if they're going to go to a movie. Like Marley and Me. How many people were floored? They were just so traumatized by that movie. You know, have you seen that movie?
I haven't seen it.
I have, yeah.
Like, oh, it's about a bad dog. Yeah, that like wins over their heart. And then, of course, at the end of the movie, the dog dies. And then they're like mourning the loss of this dog, that he was a bad dog, but he really was the bestest of dogs. And so people were traumatized by the dog. And it's like, we kill kids all the time, but nobody kills.
Right. Right.
I think just like being able to, at least in our story, the way the zombies are, I think having a dog with them would actually be more of a hindrance than a benefit.
Yeah.
Yeah, dogs in the apocalypse, they don't work, right? At least not in the zombie apocalypse. They would just bark and give away your position.
And that would be it.
Mm-hmm.
Also, kids, small children in the apocalypse.
They'll cry and give away your position.
Yeah, babies and toddlers and even small children that are like, Mama, Daddy's touching me. And I'm like, okay, we're dead now. So I always think that's funny when people get upset, like, oh, you're killing the kids. And it's like, the kids are the ones that are going to die.
They're setting themselves up for it.
Unfortunately.
They're not built for it.
And we, in a way, we do kind of touch that like, to keep the kids alive, they realize very quickly the adults have to try harder to like pay attention to them and take care of them, because they're the children are kind of burdens. Like,
yeah,
they all
you
gotta
don't
live
want to lose
together.
them.
That is interesting. So I love that. That's huge part of your story. You know what I mean? Where
And
it's
that's
like,
why we made it a school story. Is already you have, let's be honest, the main character Joshua, not really zombie apocalypse main character material.
no,
He's a pacifist, easily scared, likes he enjoys being an elementary school teacher.
Yeah.
So having to suddenly basically take care of an entire class in a violent apocalypse, he's not cut out for it.
It didn't work very well. Even in issue 1, I was like, man, these kids are not going to make it. Like, Josh is going to lose a few. Chris from Movie Smash says, depends on your rules about zombies. If they only eat humans, you could have a dog that follows an old owner around eating his scraps. If they only eat humans, you could have a dog that follows an old owner around eating his scraps. Yeah, I guess. Like the dog is following a zombie that used to be his owner and eats the scraps. So it's a zombie. He's a live dog, but eats zombie. Would he also, I don't know. Would he get sick from eating the zombie infected humans? I feel like there's a story here, Chris. I feel like you could read this.
Could be a kind of scary one, actually.
Yeah. Especially with the POV of the dog.
And there's a I don't know, is it out? Wasn't there a recent horror movie that was like from the POV of the dog?
I think so. I think there was.
That's what I see with this, Chris. You could totally write like a horror comic book or novel from the point of view of the dog.
He doesn't bite. Coming to a theater near you.
Rowen, you're great at these taglines, man.
See, making titles, which again comes back to Days Worth Living. I wanted every issue to have a title that ties into either the visuals, the theme, or the story of the issue. And some of them I just are a joy to make. Like issue 3 has probably got my favorite title, just because Between Us and the Reeds is such a poetic name for what happens, and kind of a boring issue.
Well, okay, let's talk about the title, Days Worth Living. So where's that stem from?
The fact that so many zombie stories have names that are already so similar to each other. Daisy, Days Gone By, and stuff like that. We wanted something that stood out a little bit while also carrying the idea of the story. So it's always about Josh trying to find things that make life worth living in an apocalypse that he no longer has any purpose in. And of course, even with the series cover, we see that all of the things that he has found that are worth living when the world has come to an end are fragile or might not last forever. And he's standing on the remnants of those things that mattered to him.
It's so interesting to me. And like, I love playing names, naming things, putting extra meaning into names. And so Days Worth Living tells me, you know, now that it's a zombie apocalypse, it's like the hope behind it. And so I'm assuming that it's important to have hope in this story. But I mean, like, when it comes to, I don't know, any kind of apocalypse genre, how important is it to have hope in those stories? Do you think as a storyteller, it's key in an apocalypse to have hope, or can we tell a story where there's no hope? Like, what do you feel about that?
You know, like, honestly, I would say yes, it's important, because for me, it's like, if my characters that I'm reading in this story don't have any hope, why should I bother reading it? Like, why should I bother going along on this journey if I know it's a doomed one anyway? And some stories can tell that idea very compellingly, but most of the time I'm not very interested in those stories anyway. I like to be able to read about characters who do have hope and are wanting to push forward in the story rather than being reluctant or just being passive to the story, I suppose.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think hope is such a human trait. And I feel like that humans in any situation always feel like there's a way we can fix this. There's hope. There's hope for us. And so I almost want to write a story where it's like there's no hope, where it's just called No Hope. And it's the guy in the apocalypse. He's like, I quit, shoots himself. The end.
It's a 3-page story.
2 pages, yeah. The end. Because again, it's like, what's the point?
Yeah.
I feel a good example of that would be, and now again, this was a super popular book and movie, was The Road.
I was just going to talk about The Road as well. And the misunderstanding by a lot of people of what The Road is about. Like, it is an inherently hopeful story.
Yes.
But not for the man.
Right. It depends on whose perspective you're looking at. For the kid,
his entire character is making sure there is a hopeful world for his son, even though he knows he has no place in it. And I think that philosophy actually ties in pretty deeply with Days Worth Living is why do they hold so tightly to all these kids? That, or at least the ones that are left anyway. The adults may have given up.
Dropping like flies, I tell you.
And I think there is a distinction to be made between hope and determination. The kids are hopeful that the world will go back to normal, and the adults are determined to make it be that way, even if they're not hopeful that will be the outcome.
Interesting. I like that distinction. You know, it's subtle, but it's important.
And I think Josh is the only character that is hopeful, whereas all the other, especially other male characters, are all very
Mike
roll up their sleeves and let's do this. Let's make this better.
Yeah.
My
I still don't know if I can trust Mike, honestly. I don't know. Let's talk about some of these other names. Like, I mean, Rowen, are you coming up with these? Are you doing? Yeah. I mean, I would assume so, based off of the two that you just pulled out of the back of your brain today on the show. It's like, oh, those are both good. So between us and the reads, I like. And now, and again, are you? What do I want to say? Are you alluding to other works? Like, are we alluding to Edgar Allan Poe here?
Yeah. So one of the moments in chapter 4 is we get to see Sarah's family, which includes her grandparents. And her grandmother, you could tell right away, Edith has something wrong. We don't know what that is in this issue, but she wants to go to a book club in the middle of an apocalypse. And she's reading a collection of Poe stories. And I think the very ominous, dreadful nature of this issue being the in-between of day 1 and now day 2, the allusion to that sort of dark author and his outlook on life was so perfect for the title of this issue.
Yeah, agreed. No small thing. Don't look back. Yet we remain. These are all pretty poignant. I like them. Chance of hope. Again, you see, like here we are. These fit so perfectly with the title. You know, it's like the chance of hope, where it's like there could be hope, but we don't know. Better to sleep. I don't know about that. That's depressing. I don't know how many times it's been like, oh, the world sucks. I'm going to go to bed.
And with that issue, one of the big, I mean, that is the one where we actually see how bites work. It is the first instance of someone being infected. So is it maybe better that they died early on versus had they lived to issue 100 and have suffered everything those who have lived up to that point have?
This reminds me of another indie comic. And I'm so sad it doesn't pop into my brain. Like the story pops into my brain, but the title doesn't. They're going to kill me. But it's a zombie story told from the zombie point of view.
I love those type of stories.
Yeah, and it's like Nordic times, and it was so interesting the way that he's a writer and artist himself. He does everything himself, and it's like I have the character in red doing zombie stuff, and there's this like blue. It's almost like you know how you frame out a human, Erica, where it's just like circle for the head, it's a stick figure pretty much of a human, but in blue. So like opposite on the color wheel almost. And this shiny blue stick figure is thinking with the thoughts of the human. So it's like, it's still in there. And it's still, you know, its consciousness is just like had been taken over. And so the zombie is doing stuff, and this woman is just watching her body do things. So it was really cool.
And horrifying.
Horrifying, yeah, to watch. It's like being Winter Soldier, you know what I mean? Like under control and watching your body do things when you don't have control over it. So really scary. So that's interesting, you know, to from the infected point of view. It's like, what are we doing at this point? Is it better to sleep? So interesting. And of course, all that glitters is gold. We got to know some music here.
Yeah, music is actually inherently tied in with the story. So in a lot of in the 1-volume trailer we have released, in the background, as it shows a montage of a bunch of other countries and how they're dealing with the apocalypse, People Are Strange by The Doors is playing in the background. Because that's how everyone's viewing the zombies.
People are strange. See, this is where you need to have that QR code that takes them to YouTube that plays the music, right?
A lot of 60s classic rock.
Yeah.
You can always go back and add it when you get faster. I'm just saying.
The beauty of having freedom of your own work.
Exactly. And that's always like that. We could have a whole nother conversation about like how much do you go back and rework issues. There's two schools of thought on that, because like I have probably touched my issue 1, I don't know, 6 or 7 times, relettering and retouching and having it colored and remastered. And but someone once told me, why, you know, like why are you doing this? If you look at Superman issue 1 in Action Comics, right, it's the same. It's the same. And so they haven't gone back and redone Superman and people still love it. Why are we spending so much time redoing stuff that people already love? I don't know.
My argument for that, at least in our case, is it's starting with issue 4, the DPI that we were using on the art like went up to 300 versus 92. So there's just visually, it just looks so much cleaner at a higher DPI. And that's really why we're remastering it. But also, yeah, sure, Superman 1, people still read Superman, but how many different artists have done him at this point?
Right.
There's only one artist on Days Worth Living.
Well, and I agree with you. I can't retouch it as many times as I want to. Because also I'm new. You know what I mean? And people don't know, like Superman is a legacy comic.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And people love it, and it has this history, and they will always love it. People don't know Path of the Pale Rider. And so when I get, an issue 1 into someone's hands, I want them to see it and not get hung up because I made lettering mistakes because I was new. I want them to get stuck into the story because that's my one shot. So issue 1, yeah, I know. Someone rang the doorbell and he's over there barking his head. So go figure. He didn't make an appearance in this episode. Sometimes he'll come in and he'll say hi and ask for scratches, but he got a haircut too. He looks way different. But so yeah, I'm with you where it's like sometimes I feel like we have to retouch it because we've learned and we've grown as artists and storytellers and letterers and you know what I mean, as colorists, as part of our journey. And I feel like that I want people, that's my first look. That's my interview. That's my resume.
Yeah. Which is why we're doing 1 and 3, but sure, there are mistakes in issues 4 through issue 10, even though that was only a couple months ago. But yeah, if we just kept going back over and over, we wouldn't make any progress. So I just want to update the first couple issues to match the style now, and then just keep moving on. But there's nothing wrong with if we wanted to go back and be like, all right, maybe we'll fix a couple faces here and there. Yeah.
But I mean, then that's on your own time, though. Right. So that's great, is that it's the 2 of you working together. I've had artists switch out. So it's like if I needed art updates from issues 1 through 4, I got to go knock on Marco's door, and like Gilbert's done 5 through 8. And it's like, it would just be a headache if I changed the art at this point. So I feel like, at least it's the 2 of you can make that decision.
Yes.
If I were trying to get Marco to draw Path, it'd probably be way different than when, we first started. So there's that too. What did you say, Pops? He's starting to follow Rocky? Yeah, I can't wait till they start talking to each other. That might be interesting. We could get Murphy and Murphy together because Pops has a dog named Murphy.
It's a great dog name.
Thank you. I picked it. This is my dog. My husband has always been the one picking our dogs until this one. I was like, that's it. I'm gonna give it a chance. Anywho, we're going to start wrapping up the show. Is there any I dropped the links to a bunch of things. Is there any links that didn't drop or anything you two would like to promote?
I don't think so. I'm happy with just the comic itself, because really that is, whether or not someone follows us as artists, I'd rather them just get to enjoy the work.
Yeah, go here and read the story. Read it with me. I feel like we could have a book club and discuss the things that are going on in the story. No?
Right. One of the things that I find most funny is we got a comment once a couple months ago, and most of our feedback has either been just like people liking rather than commenting, or the occasional positive comment from other artists that we work with or know. But we got one that said, wasted my time. In 10 issues, nothing has happened. And it was like, okay, but quite a bit has happened.
Yeah.
But that kind of fake, they think they're being constructive, but they're just using it as a vessel to be kind of, I don't want to say mean because of it, but just to spread kind of negativity like that. It's more funny than anything else. Because it was a funny comment.
Yeah. It was like, what do you expect to have happen in a zombie apocalypse story?
Yeah.
The zombies are there. They're eating people.
That's kind of like 80% of it.
Did they were they stuck on the cover? Because if they open the comic, stuff happens. No? Okay. But some people just like to be trolls. And I feel like when you're getting eyes on, you'll get trolls.
Yeah. Just don't feed them.
Just don't feed them. Yeah, the best way is just not to interact with them at all.
Yeah.
Pop says we have a ton of shows that you guys can go on, by the way, if you join our Facebook group, which is the Madness group. We have 40 plus shows on our network. And you can definitely come and nerd out with the rest of us. My show, like I said, is pretty booked out, but most of them are not. Get on and talk about comics and all sorts of stuff. Join the Madness. We've got a lot of other shows to promote you. Absolutely. There you go. So, thank you guys again for coming on the show.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I love it when I get zombie people in because I get to nerd out in my special genre. So I don't get to nerd out zombies with everybody. So I appreciate that. So
yeah, thanks for letting us nerd out and go on tangents of our own.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm like, this is the place to come on and we can nerd out about zombies and comics and all of those things. So next week on the show, we're going to have Fred Schwartz, and we're going to be talking hot sauce and fisticuffs. I think it is issue 3 that's up on pre-launch. And so we'll be discussing that. And then again, everybody, the Slice and Dice will be June 16th. So mark your calendars to be here back on the Tuesday Morning Brew. I'm going to have my bear onesie on, and we'll see which weapon people decide on. Right now, it's the cast iron pan. I really hope that one wins because I haven't smashed a watermelon with the cast iron pan yet. So I'm looking forward to that. Thank you again, everybody. Kiss your babies. Be excellent to each other. And we'll see you here next week on the Tuesday Morning Brew. Say bye.
Goodbye.
No, I was supposed to have an ad up. All right, here we go.
Ozzy, what are you doing? Come and have a look at this lovely book that was sent over.
You're wrapping in the perpendicular.
Oh, go on and spit the bat out your mouth. No one can understand you like that.
Say how 5 dentists and all.
Oh, well, that's not much better. Ozzy, why don't you sing to me? I can always understand you when you sing to me.
Fucking my brains. What is this my publisher sent me? Inked in black with art so sweet.
So what do you think? Do you like it?
Oh, Lord, yeah.
What is Path of the Pale Rider? Oh yeah, Path of the Pale Rider is a Western apocalypse comic book series where death is broken. We're following a cowboy through the wasteland as he sifts through conspiracy theories trying to figure out what the heck happened. We don't have flesh-craving zombies. We have people whose soul didn't leave when their body died and their mind slowly rots. There's no magic bullet to the brain. There's no escape. You feel pain, you decompose, you lose your humanity. And by the way, this affects people, animals, insects, fish. So do you have like 5,000 questions about how this world works? So does everybody else.
I'm curious, Bill. How'd a Missouri lawman end up all the way out here?
Back in '62, I rode with Grant and we went through Memphis on our way to Vicksburg. I remember thinking, Memphis is a nice town if it wasn't on fire. I wouldn't mind going back there. After the war, I moved home to Missouri and some damn fool talked me into being a lawman. I didn't see that coming, but I was good at it. Wearing a badge and cracking heads. I don't know, I just had an itch, man. Just felt like there was something else missing. Something else I wanted to do. So I came out here.
How'd you get to running with Shooter then?
I met Shooter in Chattanooga. In lieu of a court-martial, he was on disciplinary leave. Most people didn't like Shooter, but we always got along pretty good. Sooner or later, every man's got to make a choice. back into that choice is where a man finds out what he's made of.
Yeah.